Hi guys, it's Allie at Reborn on the Run, and I am super tired. Yeah, freaking leg day at the gym. Leg day. Boo. And I wanted to talk about some of my favorite inspiring running documentaries. So today I was at the gym, at a gym that I don't usually go to, and they didn't happen to have any sort of TV entertainment, and the treadmill was facing the wall. Whatever kind of sick masochistic bastard planned that one would have his hamstrings cut with a cheese grater. Yeah, so I started watching some of the documentaries done by the Ginger Runner, who you've probably heard of. He's pretty big on the YouTube running community, and I was watching his coverage of, oh shoot, what's his name? I think it's Gary Cannady, and him doing the Western 100, which is famous for being just ridiculous and soul-burning as an ultra marathon. I think it's 100 miles, so yeah, that's something I would never go near. But anyways, but it's inspiring. It kept me running, kept me on the treadmill for much longer than I would have otherwise, because, you know, wall. But it got me thinking about what are my other favorite inspiring and motivational, in general, documentaries and running to watch. And I do love watching documentaries in general. So one of the big ones, of course, is if you haven't already gotten into running documentaries, or rather, if you have gotten into running documentaries, you would have heard of the Barkley Marathons, the race that eats its young. That one's on Netflix, I believe it still is, at least in Canada. I'm assuming in the US as well. But yeah, that one has long been a favorite. I've rewatched it a few times, and it's just brilliant. Not only was it well filmed, and it showed, I think, what the course does too, and I think they were following this one fellow through a fair bit of it. But it's just hilarious. The guy that runs it, his name is Lazarus Lake, I think, and it's in Tennessee, and it's right near this prison where, shoot, I can't remember his name. This famous prisoner escaped, and the mountains were so tough that in 53 or 56 hours, something like that, he couldn't get more than a few miles, really. And so Lazarus Lake, who is backpacking at the time, and he's a prolific runner himself, he basically made up this race, and I think a buddy of his and he ran it, and it's basically not for monetary gain. They just go and make it as hard as possible, and each year they make it harder. They change the course. You're not allowed to have GPS. Like, it's any sort of introduction to this guy Lazarus Lake is just, he's like this gruff but friendly sort of executioner who gently sends the people off onto the slaughter of the mountainside and just eats them alive, of course, the tale says. But it's just, he's hilariously eccentric. I don't know if he still runs, but he used to run quite a bit in the area, and you just see him smoking cigarettes the whole time, you know, and he starts the race, or calls everyone to battle, really, by blowing air into this conch shell, and if someone comes back and admits defeat during a certain loop or what have you, then just they blow the bugle of regret, I think. It's basically the soldier's bugle that I think when people die and they blow the bugle. Anyways, but it's just hilarious. I think one year the entry fee was you had to get him wool socks. Another year the entry fee was plaid shirts, and you can't just apply for the race. You have to apply for it and then be accepted, given your resume to Lazarus Lake and his group. So anyways, it's pretty crazy. I love it, and I was so excited on the weekend. My husband was so not as enthusiastic as I was, because I found another more recent documentary on Barkley Marathons, and this one was called Where Dreams Go to Die, and that one was by the Ginger Runner, and he followed his buddy, I think it's Tony Robbins,
forgive me if I got that wrong. I'll check later. Yeah, followed him in his 2016 attempt, which unfortunately failed, but oh man, he wanted it so bad, and he was so close. Yeah, so, but he tried again the next year. And the poor guy didn't get it again, but he was so much closer that time. I think he missed it by 6 seconds. He was 6 seconds late, and he got turned around in the fog and came back the wrong way. So I felt awful for him, poor guy. And it was in the news where I am because he's from Vancouver, from North Vancouver. So it was kind of a big deal, and everyone was quite sad. So I think he went back again a third time. That was this year, 2018, and no one finished it. Yeah, and they called it the year that Barkley won. Anyways, so I highly recommend those two, the Barkley Marathons, the race that eats its young, and Barkley Marathons, where dreams go to die. Please check those out, those are awesome. So another documentary that I really like is called Finding Traction. I think that might be on Netflix as well, I'm not 100% sure. With Nikki Kimball as the feature runner, and I don't know if it's in this same documentary or another one I've seen about her, but she is truly a force of nature, super inspiring as a woman and as a runner. She's crazy inspiring, and I think even closer to my heart is the fact that she, one of the main reasons she got into running, but not just running, but distance running, is because she had struggled a lot with mental health. I think her struggle in particular was depression mainly, and the only thing that would keep her going, and that pain that your body goes through with long distance running and that you have to deal with mentally, became her strength, her way to cope with depression. And that's huge. I mean, I use running because I find it's the best way to help me manage dealing with anxiety, and not just, oh, I'm extra worried about this, or it's, having your body reject what you want it to do, and be unable to function. And if I don't run regularly, if I don't work out and get that good cardio, I can't sleep. I can't do any of the things I need to function to be a present mom, present wife. I can't help pay the rent, or in this case, mortgage. Ownership, more expensive. But I can't function as a human being if I don't run, and I keep that in my mind. And so she's a huge inspiration to me for that. When I saw that, I thought, oh, someone else used it for mental health as well. Of course, yeah. It's just so freeing. And sometimes when I deal with all those things that go along with anxiety and sometimes depression, things like that, it's not just endorphins, but that mental strength of going, I can do this. I have run this long distance and that was really hard and I had to push through that. I can cope with this thing in this moment. And also I can go for a run later, and that pain will distract me from the other type of pain. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there. But that being said, for a lot of people, it can become very addictive, and to the point where it could become an unhealthy coping mechanism. But nonetheless, Nikki Kimball, very inspiring. And in this documentary she's done, Finding Traction, she does this mind-boggling trail. I think it's called the Long Trail. I can't remember what state it's in, but it's 273 or 6 miles. I can't even. That's just nonsense, really. Yeah. So, anyways, please watch it. It's amazing to watch and to see her, basically her pit crew, just change the wheels and take off her shoes and shove food in her face, and I think that's why I like watching those running documentaries. But yes, so Finding Traction, Nikki Kimball, very good. So I would say for my fourth pick, fourth pick of documentaries that I'll talk about today is The last one is sort of I guess I could call it a mini series of documentaries that the famous comedian, or at least famous in England, but I love him, Eddie Izzard. He did 27 marathons in 27 days and didn't die, which is amazing to me, especially because, first of all, when he starts out in the beginning and goes through getting doctor's clearance, he basically talks about how ill-prepared he is for this. But the reason why he did the 27 marathons was to raise money for a charity for, it's called Sports Relief, and I believe it's something to do with providing sports for underprivileged children. So yeah, it was pretty amazing, but I love the documentary series. There's about 4 episodes, maybe 30 minutes each, and it was just such a blast because in a way, he's a very average guy, very determined guy, got distracted really easily. Not terribly surprising for a comedian, I suppose, but he didn't let this massive challenge get in the way of him having fun, and also just seeing how determined he was to push through all these things that I think, oh man, he seems like he's kind of an average guy, and he's, you know, just did this out of the blue at the age of 54. I mean, he had done some running. He had attempted this feat in 2012, and he was back, I think it was a few years later, doing this feat, and yeah, and it was amazing, and it really, and of course, because it's such a physical exertion, it kind of breaks down a lot of mental barriers and becomes a way to delve into the depths of our emotional turmoil. So so it's interesting to see him go through that, and he did 707, I want to say, miles on this whole journey, which is ridiculous. But yeah, obviously I'm not an ultra runner, so. But it was really interesting, and I really loved it, so I recommend that one. So Eddie Izzard, this series is called Eddie Izzard Marathon Man, and you can watch it on YouTube, so that's a good one. Yeah, so what are your favorite running documentaries, YouTubers? What really motivates you to go out there and continue running and get some pep in your running shoe? Yeah. Well, anyways, have a good one. Have a good run.